Why did the Ming Dynasty experience both glorious prosperity and the tragedy of collapse? A historical epic that swept the internet, those Ming Dynasty Stuff has sold over 10 million copies, igniting countless readers' passion for history. Written by Nian Ming Yue, it uses a storytelling approach to narrate the Ming Dynasty's nearly 300-year rise and fall, revealing the complex interplay of power, desire, and human nature. Let's follow this book to explore the Ming Dynasty's dramatic fate and uncover the key figures and moments that shaped history. The dawn of the Ming, Zhu Yuanzhang's rise from rags to empire. To understand the Ming's rise and fall, we begin with its founder, Zhu Yuanzhang. From a cowherd to the founding emperor, his story is one of China's most inspiring legends. In the chaos of the late Yuan dynasty, Zhu joined the Red Turban rebels, defeating rivals with courage and strategy to establish the Ming in 1368. His journey is not just a personal triumph but a reflection of the Ming's institutional foundations. Zhu's success stemmed from his keen understanding of human nature. He recognized the Yuan's corruption as a result of elite monopolies, so he built a strict system, abolishing the prime minister, creating the Jiangnan secret police, and centralizing imperial power. He introduced the Waisuo system for military loyalty and revived the imperial exams to recruit talent from humble backgrounds. These reforms spurred economic recovery, with the population growing from 60 million to nearly 100 million during the Hongwu era, and agriculture and handicrafts thriving. Yet Zhu's iron-fisted rule planted seeds of trouble. Harsh oversight, like the brutal flaying and stuffing punishment, filled officials with fear, stifling innovation. His paranoia led to the Huiyang case, implicating tens of thousands and weakening governance. Zhu's contradictory nature shaped the Ming's early institutions. Born poor, he understood people's suffering and implemented land reforms to ease peasant burdens. But his childhood hardships made him suspicious, leading to purges of loyal generals like Lin Yu. This duality created a system that was both inclusive, encouraging commoners to rise through exams, and extractive, suppressing local vitality through over-centralization. His story shows how institutions can drive prosperity but also sow crises. The zenith and hidden flaws, Yongle and the reigns of Ren and Zhuan. The Ming's glory peaked under Emperor Yongle, Hu Di. Seizing the throne in the Jiangnan rebellion, he consolidated power with ruthless skill and remarkable governance. During his reign, he sent Zheng He on 7 voyages, showcasing Ming might, moved the capital to Beijing, built the Forbidden City, and compiled the Yongle Encyclopedia, preserving Chinese culture's essence. These feats made the Ming one of the world's most powerful nations. Zheng He's voyages were especially awe-inspiring. From 1405 to 1433, he led treasure fleets as far as East Africa, bringing back exotic goods and boosting maritime trade. His flagship, over 100 meters long and carrying nearly 1,000 men, dwarfed European ships of the era. Yet, the Ming's agrarian bias limited commercial growth, with voyage profits squandered on royal displays rather than economic investment. After Zheng He's final voyage in 1433, the Ming shut its maritime gates, missing the chance to become a seafaring power. The reigns of Ren and Zhuan marked another high point. Emperors Renzong and Xuanzang implemented lenient policies, reduced taxes, and reformed governance, driving economic prosperity. During Xuandi's reign, Jingdezhan porcelain reached global markets, and Silk Road trade hit new heights. Zhu Yuanzhang also promoted education, establishing the Imperial Academy to nurture talent. But beneath this prosperity, the rise of eunuchs signaled trouble. Xuanzang's trust in eunuch Wang Zhen led to the Tumu crisis, where Emperor Yingzong was captured by the Mongols, exposing the dangers of eunuch influence. Even in its golden age, the Ming's institutional flaws were quietly growing. The clash of system and human nature, Wanli and Zhang Juzheng. The Ming's mid to late decline saw institutional and human conflicts intensify, epitomized by Emperor Wanli and Zhang Juzheng. Wanli ascended the throne at 10, guided by the brilliant reformer Zhang Juzheng. Zheng's single whip law streamlined taxes, boosting fiscal efficiency. He also curbed bureaucratic excess and strengthened defenses, ushering in the Wanli revival. Yet his reforms angered vested interests like bureaucrats and landlords, and eunuchs resented their curtailed power. After Hang's death, Wanli, now ruling alone, retaliated by confiscating Hang's family wealth and reversing reforms. This wasn't just personal vendetta, it reflected systemic flaws. The Ming's bureaucracy relied too heavily on the emperor's will, lacking mechanisms for sustained reform. Wanli's later decades of neglect, refusing to hold court for 30 years, paralyzed governance and drained the treasury. Shang's story highlights the tension between human ambition and systemic limits. Reforms showed individual impact on history, but institutional constraints and human flaws, like Wanli's suspicion, led to their unraveling. The Ming's decline was the cumulative result of this struggle. The final dirge, Chongzhen's struggle and collapse. The Ming's fall culminated with Emperor Chongzhen, Zhu Yuanzhang. Inheriting an empty treasury, he faced internal rebellions led by Li Ziqing and external threats from the Manchus. Chongzhen worked tirelessly, executing the eunuch Wei Hongshan and appointing General Yuanzhang to counter the Manchus. But his paranoia and systemic constraints doomed his efforts. Yuanzhang was executed on false charges, chilling military loyalty, while new taxes, the three levies, fueled peasant revolts. Chongzhen's tragedy was deepened by a trust crisis with his officials. He backed the Donglin faction for reforms, but bureaucratic infighting rendered them ineffective. In 16, Li Ziqing stormed Beijing, and Chongzhen hanged himself on Coal Hill, lamenting, "I am not a failed emperor. My ministers failed the state." His downfall was not just personal but a reflection of the Ming's systemic collapse. Over-centralized power isolated the emperor, and bureaucratic corruption blocked reforms. The Ming's demise stemmed from extractive institutions that stifled innovation and eroded social trust. Anti-pirate hero and border crises, Qi Guang's duty. The Ming's mid to late border crises are exemplified by Qi Guang. During the Jiangnan era, southeastern coasts suffered from pirate raids, with corrupt local forces unable to respond. Qi Guang rose to the challenge, forming the Qi family army with strict discipline and innovative tactics. His 9 victories in Taizu quelled piracy in Hejiang, protecting coastal communities. Qi's success came from systemic improvements, like reforming recruitment and training to ensure loyalty and creating the Mandarin Duck Formation for flexible combat. Yet, court budget constraints limited supplies, and bureaucratic jealousy sidelined him in his later years. His story shows that even heroic individuals were constrained by flawed systems. The Waisuo system, effective early on, faltered as military households fled and troop quality declined. Qi's recruitment reforms worked locally but weren't scaled nationally, highlighting the Ming's limited capacity for systemic change. Eunuchs and power's dark currents, Wei Hongxian's rise and fall. Eunuch meddling was a key factor in the Ming's decline, with Wei Hongshan as a prime example. From a street gambler to the powerful head of the Eastern Depot, he dominated the court, purging the Donglin faction and creating a eunuch party versus purist divide. His rise exploited the Ming's systemic flaws. Over-centralized power made emperors reliant on eunuchs, and factionalism gave them leverage. Wei's corruption sparked outrage, and Chongzhen swiftly executed him upon taking the throne. But his fall didn't fix the root issue, as the eunuch system persisted, fueling further chaos. Wei's story shows how institutional flaws amplify personal ambition, endangering the state. From system to culture, Ming society's vibrancy. The Ming's rise and fall weren't just about systems and power but also its vibrant culture. In the mid to late Ming, urban culture flourished in Jiangnan, birthing operas and novels like The Peony Pavilion and The Plum in the Golden Vase. Yet, this cultural boom masked systemic issues, as land consolidation widened inequality and the competitive imperial exams blocked social mobility. Painter and playwright Zhu Wei, despite his talent, failed the exams and ended his life in poverty, reflecting the Ming's cultural paradox, artistic vibrancy alongside systemic repression. Women's roles also evolved, with some in Jiangnan, like the Shen family, amassing wealth through silk businesses, showing resilience despite Confucian constraints. This social dynamism fueled prosperity but was stifled by rigid institutions. The glory and shadow of the exams, a double-edged sword. The imperial exam system was a cornerstone of Ming governance, designed by Zhu Yuanzhang to break aristocratic monopolies. It drew countless scholars, like the upright official Hai Rui, who rose through exams to challenge Emperor Jiajing. But by the mid to late Ming, the exam's focus on rote eight-legged essays crushed creativity. Talents like Zhu Wei failed repeatedly, trapped by the system's rigidity. Fierce competition bred corruption, with bribery scandals rampant in Jiangnan. The exams also deepened social divides, as successful scholars joined the landowning elite, while failures, like Journey to the West author Wu Cheng'an, languished in poverty. This polarization weakened social cohesion, hastening the Ming's decline. Borders and ethnic diversity, Ming's plurality and challenges. The Ming's border policies were another critical aspect. Early on, the Waisuo and Tusi systems secured frontier control, as seen with the Mu family in Yunnan. But declining military quality led to disasters like the 1449 Tamu crisis, where Emperor Yingzong was captured due to eunuch Wang Zhen's blunders. Later, the Manchus' rise overwhelmed defenses, exacerbated by Yuan Chonghuan's unjust execution. The Ming's ethnic policies allowed cultural autonomy but emphasized a Chinese barbarian divide, limiting integration and weakening unity. Fiscal and social burdens, the Ming's economic woes. Fiscal issues were central to the Ming's fall. Zhu Yuanzhang's land reforms and low taxes initially filled the treasury, but land consolidation later shrank the tax base. By Jiajing's reign, pirate raids and northern wars drove up costs, forcing heavier taxes. Chongzhen's three levies pushed peasants into rebellion. Merchants like the Qiao family in Shaanxi struggled under heavy taxes and official extortion, reflecting fiscal mismanagement. The Ming's reliance on silver, vulnerable to global price swings, saw treasury reserves plummet from 10 million to under 1 million taels by Wanli's reign. Donglin and factionalism, political decay. Late Ming factionalism, led by the Donglin Party, worsened governance. Figures like Gu Xianqing at the Donglin Academy pushed for reform, but clashed with rival factions, turning the court into a battleground. Donglin leader Yang Lian's impeachment of Wei Hongshan led to his own demise, highlighting factional vengeance. Chongzhen's attempts to balance factions failed, paralyzed by his distrust, reflecting a system lacking checks and balances. Commerce and urban life, economic vitality and limits. The Ming's mid to late commercial boom, especially in Jiangnan's silk, porcelain, and salt trades, fostered a vibrant urban culture. Suzhou's merchants and gardens, like the humble administrator's garden, symbolized wealth. Yet, the Ming's agrarian bias and heavy taxes stifled commerce, as seen with merchants like Hu Zuan's family. Urban culture, with tea houses and novels like Water Margin, voiced public discontent but failed to spark political reform. Thought and scholarship, cultural peaks and crises. The Ming's intellectual achievements shone with Wang Yangming's heart-mind philosophy, challenging rigid Neo-Confucianism. Yet, conservative backlash, like the imprisonment of thinker Li Zi, showed the era's intellectual tensions. Regional divides between Jiangnan's reformist scholars and northern conservatives fueled factionalism, deepening the Ming's decline. Echoes of history, lessons from the Ming. The Ming's story is a symphony of systems and human nature. Zhu Yuanzhang's iron rule built the empire but sowed over centralization. Zheng He's voyages hinted at global potential, thwarted by agrarian policies. Zhang Juzheng's reforms briefly revived the state, undone by systemic limits. Chongzhen's diligence couldn't save a crumbling system. These lessons resonate today. China's post-1978 reforms echo the Ming's inclusive policies, while corruption in some nations mirrors its extractive flaws. Ordinary people can learn persistence, like Qi Jiguang's discipline, and innovation, like Hang's tax reforms, to drive progress. From history to action, our role today. Those Ming Dynasty Stuff brings history's warmth to life, urging us to build better systems. Brazil's 2014 car wash anti-corruption movement shows how citizens and institutions can drive reform. Education, like the Ming's exams, empowers individuals, as seen in Singapore's rise through universal schooling. Innovation, from Zhang Juzheng porcelain to Huawei's tech breakthroughs, thrives with institutional support. Ordinary people can contribute through entrepreneurship and civic engagement, as India's 1991 reforms enabled tech giants like Flipkart. Conclusion: history's echoes and our choices. Those Ming Dynasty Stuff vividly recounts the Ming's rise and fall, revealing the eternal struggle between human nature and systems. From Zhu Yuanzhang's ascent to Chongzhen's tragic end, it's a saga of power, desire, and ideals. Nian Ming Yue's storytelling makes history vivid, urging us to reflect on the weight of institutions. This book not only illuminates the Ming but challenges us to build better systems today. Let's draw wisdom from the Ming's triumphs and failures to shape a better future.